But today's actually going to be a fun one because it's all about team. It's setting up our team, and we've talked about, where are we going, and then understanding cash flow and mastery of specifically around marketing, and then we jumped into sales last time, and now we're on to team. So once we actually have all those things in place, then we actually move towards setting up the team, and if we can have the right team with the right marketing, with everything, then we actually can do something in our business. But we know as well as everybody else knows that if you don't have the right team, then you don't have really anything, then it all relies on you. We tend to find in team, this is a big thing for team, we hire the people and they expect them to be perfect, or expect them to be at least decent, or at least common, right? But the challenge is whatever we do, we need to create a system where you walk in, and you imagine a really big company, and this is the best way to put it. Imagine a really big company, and as when they hire someone, what do they put them through? Well, they probably bring them in and say, this is all that we do here, and this is the type of culture, and this is how you have to act, and you need to go and meet with these people, and this is your job, and this is exactly what we expect from you, and these are all the key performance indicators that we're going to measure you on, and make sure everything's done so that you don't have ever any questions. You know exactly what's expected of you, all the numbers that you're supposed to hit, all the targets, and everything's check marked or checklist of, okay, when I get to a job, what do I do? When I leave a job, what do I do? What does the trailer need to look like? What does the job need to look like? How do I measure the depth of the foam, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All this stuff that they need to know has to be a check mark, very much, should we call it idiot proof, right? Or at least common sense proof, right? Is what I tend to think. And if you can actually put that in there in a process, then we can actually do something with it. And those people will be that much better for it. Common sense. So I have lots of questions. I have up to 20 questions, but we won't pick all of them. We'll just pick one, a couple of them. So, are you ready? Yes or no answers, or answers, just write down question, and we'll make sure we write down the question number because we'll get the answers afterwards. So number one, do they have a 4th of July in England? Yes or no? Okay, number two, how many birthdays does the average man have? Number three, some months have 31 days. How many have 28? A woman gives a beggar $1.32. The woman is the beggar's sister, but the beggar is not the woman's brother. How come? Need me to repeat it? Are you doing these too? In the head? Okay, a woman gives a beggar $1.32. The woman is the beggar's sister, but the beggar is not the woman's brother. How come? One more time? That's okay. A woman gives a beggar $1.32. The woman is the beggar's sister, but the beggar is not the woman's brother. How come? Okay, number 5. Why can't a man living in the US be buried in Canada? Number 6. How many outs are there in an inning? Number 7. Is it legal for a man in California to marry his widow's wife, and why? Is it legal? Okay. Oh, this is a fun one. Number 10. So we skip this. Make sure we write that. Number 10. A man builds a house rectangular in shape. All sides have southern exposure. A big bear walks by. What color is the bear and why? All right. First one, what'd you get? Yes. Okay, yes, everywhere is the 4th of July, right? Okay, good. Number 2? 1. Why? Yes. How many birthdays does the average man have? Yes, one. One birthday. Good, see, you're all right. Number 3? Good. Nice, easy ones. Yes, you always looking for this. Number 4? Did you get the one? The beggar one.
I think it was because she was her sister?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a girl. Yeah, not a boy. Number 5?
It was 5.
5 was the birdie in Canada.
Oh, because he's still alive.
Awesome. Yes, because he's still alive. You can't bury a dead person. Well, you guess you can, but that's why. Yeah, it's because he, the U.S., but he's living. Yeah. He's still alive. Can't bury. Number 6? Can't remember. No, you're right. How many outs are there in an inning?
6.
Yeah, 6, because there's top and bottom in the innings. There's 2. Number 7, legal for in California. Did you get that one?
I think it was she can't have a widow because he's still alive.
Yeah. Is it illegal for a man in California to marry his widow's sister? And why? No, because he's dead. It's a good one, right? Common sense. See, this is the funny part, right? What else did we get? Color of the bear. Did you get it? So let me ask the question. A man builds a house rectangular in shape. All sides have southern exposure. Right? So big bear walks by. What color is the bear? It's white. Because it's a polar bear, because it's in the North Pole. Southern exposure. See? Tricky. You're like, what? You didn't say anything about the color. And what other ones did we have? I think we had one more, didn't we? That was it. That was one. So the reason why we do this is because, once again, why didn't you get them all right? Well, because it's not always as common as we think. But this is what happens in businesses, and this is what happens in teams, right? Once we know all this stuff, once the team, like you and your husband or whoever, you guys have gone through all these questions, and so now you could answer these questions if I ask you again. You're like, oh yeah, that's good, 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 good. But when someone else comes in and you think it's common sense now, well, they're like, wait a second, I don't get it. And you're like, well, it's easy. It's common sense, but it's actually not that common. It's just because you've gone through it that it becomes common. This might be a fun game for you to play too, Stuart. You ready to play a game?
Okay.
Okay, good. Perfect. Jen? All right, so you guys find a partner. So between you. Yeah. All right, so find a partner. Introduce yourself. You guys already know each other. But so you're going to face your partner. You've got 10 seconds to remember what they look like. Okay? So look at each other and find out everything that they're dressing and everything, 10 seconds what they look like. Okay? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Memorize it because you're going to be asked. 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Okay, turn your backs. All right. So you got 20 seconds. You need to change 5 things about your appearance. Change 5 things about your appearance. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to see how good you guys are at testing it. Okay? Okay, 20 seconds. Go, go, go. How many did you get? 4, Dun, 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 dun. Okay, and flip around. You gotta go see if you can pick them out. Could you pick? Just
Maybe. A couple of them are
stretch.
subtle change.
Okay, so just pick which ones. What happened? Anything else you can figure out? Okay, so sweater, you got it. So what else did they miss? Did you get her hair? Yeah, you get the hair. Okay, anything else that he missed off you? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, no, flip around one more time. 5 more.
5 more things?
5 more things, yeah. No, 5 more things, different things. Yeah. There you go. All of a sudden it becomes 5 more things. There's always belts, there's always ties, there's always shoes, there's socks, there's roll-up pants, there's and not putting your hair in a ponytail is not obvious. Yeah, that is true. Okay, do you guys get all 5? I don't know, colors. All right. Okay, you got it? Okay, spin and see if you can pick them. Jacket, okay, what else? Sleeves, good. All right, 1, 2, 3, all right. Well, then the sweater. The sweater. She tied up her thing. Did that? That was a big one. All right. That's it. Okay, cool. Thank each other and sit down. So what happened to the game? Was it fun? Did you feel nervous? Did you awkward? Same awkward, yeah. Awkward, making you change your clothes and having people stare at you and doing all that fun stuff. Okay. Anything else? Was it easy? No. What about the second time? Because you couldn't do it the first 5 times, absolutely. And then another 5, but then how easy is it to find another 5 things after I started pointing out a few things? Yeah. All of a sudden it's very, very easy, okay? Now at the very end, and this is interesting, because this is the first time someone's ever asked to do this, and I still didn't respond to it. But I just said, sit down, thank your partner, and sit down, not change back and get all coordinated. Correct? Right? But why did you? Why did you fix everything and put back into?
We assumed we were done.
Yeah, and then you go back into what? Normal or comfortable, right? So we fall back into our comfort zones, because by standing up and staring at each other, all of a sudden that becomes very uncomfortable, and then being forced to do things through our appearance, and then having people stare at us again, all of a sudden gets even more uncomfortable. And so we want to get back to our comfort zone as quick as possible. I'd sit in my chair again, back normal, right? But this is interesting because games are a reflection of our behavior, right? So a lot of times we won't put ourselves too far outside of our comfort zone if this didn't come very easy to you. You're not going to like to put yourself out in an uncomfortable position and make phone calls and do what you need to and do sales. You always want to come back to whatever is comfortable. And that's a natural behavior, but however it is, it's a reflection of that behavior of pushing you outside that comfort zone. So be very aware and apparent of that uncomfortability, and then making sure you push. Because where do we learn, where do we grow? Outside the comfort zone, not inside the comfort zone, right? So, why do people stay where they are? Well, this is actually an interesting thing. They did a study where they put out 2 job ads, absolutely identical job ads, and same position, same qualification, same everything. One job ad said that they are asking for that position to be at $50,000 for this job. The other one, they put the same job ad out there for $250,000. Okay, so one job ad, $50,000, the other job ad, $250,000, but everything else absolutely identical. How many did you think would have gotten more job ads, the 250 or the 50? Would get more applicants? What do you think?
Simple question. I think it's going to be the 50 because more people would feel like they aren't good enough to reach this point.
Okay.
They would apply for the 50.
Yeah, and that's actually what happened, right? There was about 3 people that applied for 250, and like 100 and so applied for the 50, which really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? But what happens is we self-sabotage, right, and pull ourselves back to whatever we feel that we deserve. So everybody says that we should only be making $50,000 a year, so that's what we deserve. So that's what we're going to build our business around. That's what we're going to build our life around. And everything that we do from selling to actual operations comes back to actually doing it for the $50,000 type of job, right? So we have to be very, very careful of what we're actually self-sabotaging in our life and our business. So we talked about this already. But like, what are the keys that you want to get out of today? So the big one is recruitment process. But let's take about 30 seconds, Jen, and what are the 3 things that you want to get out of today? Right, and write those down. What are the 3 things you want to get out of today? You've heard of team. Have you ever heard this, what this acronym stands for? Okay, team actually stands for Together Everyone Achieves More. Right, because that's the whole point of a team. You know, when we're actually looking out there, why do we have team? Well, if it's just ourselves, then we can only do what we individually can do. But if you start leveraging yourself and actually hiring team, you can have 10, 20, 30, 200 people doing everything that you used to do, and then that's when your business grows. Now, we always have to have the right practices and the right things in place, and we'll actually talk about that a little later on of how we actually get that set up so teams actually run it. So, how do we actually play the game? Well, we have these different types of things. We have this lose-lose type of, or lose-lose, sorry, type of relationship, or the win-lose or lose-win type of relationship. And we've seen those before. It's the arguing, it's the fighting, you know, and a lot of times the win-lose happens quite a bit where the boss, you know, and that's that whole connotation of the boss, like do this, big dictator. Well, that's typically actually not a win-lose, because even the owner doesn't win. It's almost a lose-lose, right? Or sometimes it can be a win-lose, right? But when people are treated, there's always something going wrong. And if you have anything that includes a lose in it, it's never a good thing, right? Because we never actually move forward. What we want to go for is that win-win type of mentality, win-win type of culture. Now, if we're on a team, Jen, and we want to win, and you have an idea that it's a winning idea, and you want to win with that one in this discussion, but I have a winning idea, and I want to win with this idea. If we both come to the table and go, I want to win and you want to win, and we want to have a win-win, well, if we come in that area, we can't. It's impossible. Someone has to lose. Because for you to win, I would have to lose, right? So to truly get a win-win, you have to have what's called a resolution, okay? Or the third alternative. Actually, Stephen R. Covey came up with that book called The Third Alternative, which is, you know, the resolution of working together to truly get to a win-win type of culture, a win-win type of attitude, right? And you have to come and say, this is what I think we should do, and be open, and this is what they think they should do. And if you work together to come up with a winning solution for both of you, then now you've created the resolution or the true win-win, okay? And that's where, you know, you don't just minus numbers or break even. You're actually exponentially growing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's that movement that's moving forward, okay? So there's a couple different living styles. You have low-high here, self-respect, and low-high here, respect for others. So respecting others and respect for yourself. So in a lose-lose type of thing, that's a manipulative and aggressive type of respect. So it's low respect for others, low respect for yourself. You get into that aggressive, manipulative type of environment. Okay? When you have high respect for yourself but low respect for others, right, you get into a hostile or aggressive, okay, type of thing, and then you got that win-lose, right? Whereas I'm awesome, you're not, you do what I say, here we go. Right? Where on the flip side, if you get into the high respect for others but low respect for yourself, you get into this passive type of mindset, which is no good either, right? Because you're always going to lose. You know, that's that whole thing of nice guys end up last. Well, that's not the case. Nice guys don't end up last. Passive guys usually end up last, right? You have to be not passive and you can't be aggressive, right? Those two things don't work because it has some aspect of a lose in there. What you want is get to the point where you have high self-respect for yourself and high respect for others, and then you become truly assertive. And so I talk to my clients quite often about this, where you can't be passive and you can't be aggressive. That whole mindset of super passive, then all of a sudden jump out and be super aggressive. You actually have to become assertive. And that is showing respect for yourself and showing respect for others. And that's when you get the resolution or that new win-win. Okay? So to truly make a team work, we have 6 keys to that winning team. And for the remainder of the course today, we're actually going to talk about these 6 keys. So the 6 keys to a winning team, number 1 is strong leadership. Okay? So the 6 keys is, number 1, strong leadership. So with strong leadership, what does that mean? When you think of any really successful team, either their coach or their captain or the key people in their team, there is always a strong leader. Always. And if you can look at any successful team out there, there's always some form of strong leader. Agreed? Right? It always starts there. You never see a very successful team with poor leaders. It just doesn't work. So how do we do this? Well, Mr. Bear, right, said on any given Saturday, I'll take my team and beat your team, or I'll take your team and beat my team. So what is he saying there? Because of? Yeah, it's kind of almost selfish, right, in the concept. It's kind of selfish. But what he's saying is, I'm a great leader. I can take any team and win. So on any given Saturday, I can take my team and beat yours. I can take yours and beat mine. Because as a strong leader, that's where it's at. That's where it needs to come in and make the changes that we actually can do in a team. And it seems very cocky and very arrogant, but when you think about it, you know, strong leaders have to be assertive. This is very assertive. It's not necessarily arrogant because he knows that it's still through his team that he's actually doing it, but it comes with strong leadership. So leadership, right, is truly all about passion and responsibility. Right? When leaders actually become passionate about what they do and take responsibility for what happens, that's true leadership. Right? Leadership is not something that's just, you know, given to someone, right? True leadership is through passion and responsibility. Now, how that works is what we classify as like the 16-cylinder of a high-performance group, engine, team, car, whatever it is. But if you think about it, if you had a car that had 16 cylinders in it, it's a pretty big car, right? Do you know what your car has? What car do you drive?
I drive a Tacoma.
Okay, Tacoma. So it's probably a V6, right? So it's got 6 cylinders. So it's got 10 more. So just imagine 10 more cylinders of creating that much more power. But when we actually put the line in, we get this 2 sections. And number 1 is body and mind. So when we hire employees, we have their body and we have their mind. Okay? That's what we pay for. Body and mind comes out as 3 and 3. So there's your V6 right there. Right? It's a decent engine. It works okay. And if you can get them firing on all 6 cylinders, then it's got some decent power. Right? But once again, it's their body and mind. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lot of guys out there that we just have their body, correct? As employees, right? We don't quite have their mind. So if we can have their body and then their mind, now we're multiplying it that much more. Okay? What we call, well, we'll get back to that in a second, but what we need to do is we got to get past their body and mind and get into their heart and their spirit. And this is where true leadership and where true teamwork actually comes into play. Is not just getting body and mind, but if you can capture their heart, right, and inspire their spirit, this is where true power comes from. Because now you got the 5 and the other 5. Okay? So 3 and 3, that's good. We need to get past the body, move up into mind. If we can get their mind, we move up into their heart. Once you get the heart, now we got their spirit. Now we have a truly high performance team. So what do we typically call these people? Number 1 up top here, those are managers. Right? Just bodies, they're employees. But we want to get better and better and better employees so that we don't just call them managers, but that's typically where managers live. This is typically where leaders live. Because leaders have that passion and that responsibility around heart and spirit. And if you can get people to have more heart and spirit, then they take leadership of their own circumstance, of their own department, of their own area, of their own job. Right? Everybody can be a leader. You still need strong leadership, but everybody in an organization can be a leader. The way that we do that is through connecting with their heart and their spirit. Not just their, oh, you're here? Good, you're a leader. No. Oh, we can use your brain now. Oh, good. Thanks for bringing your brain to work. Yeah, that's only part of it. That's when you get just the average person working for you. But if you can engage them in the heart and spirit, that's where you can truly succeed. Any questions on that, Jen? Good. So this is the cycle, of business. And we start off up here where we have the leader. Okay? Once we have the leader or the owner, we'll put the owner up here, then we have the team. Then we have the customers, and then we have the business over there. Okay? Now, typically, right? Typically the business, the leader or the owner takes care of the team, right? Leader or the owner takes care of the customers, leader or the owner takes care of the business, correct? That's how most businesses are set up. So what happens to the leader when it's set up like that? They get burnt out. There you go. Good. That's the words that we're looking for. That's what typically happens. What we need to do is we need to go for more something like this. Whereas the leader now takes care of the team takes care of the customers take care of the business takes care of the leader. This is the cycle. This is what we need to go after, and this is where we need to actually truly get our business to run without us. Okay? So we got leader, team, leader or owner, I put up there, team, customers, and business. Okay? So that's the first key. Once again, you can't have a strong team without a strong leader, and it always starts with the leader. Henry Ford is quoted in saying that a business can't grow past the growth of the leader. So we have this thing called the leadership cap. So business can only grow as far as the leaders are. So if the leaders are here, the business will never outgrow the leaders. So how do we grow a business? We grow leaders. And what happens to the business? The business now follows. We grow the leader some more, the business now follows. We grow the leader some more, the business now follows. Right? So when we're looking at that, in order to do this strong leadership, right, they need to get in there and have that and grow those leaders and grow yourself first off and then grow the other leaders so that the business will come follow afterwards. Number 2, the second key to a winning team is common goal. So once we have a strong leader, right, then we have the common goal. Right? So what is that? Well, the common goal, typically, it starts with the vision or the destination of a business. Right? And we've talked about it before. Let me erase this. Say you want to go on a vacation, Jen. Okay? You decided I want to go on a vacation. What's the number one thing, what's the very first thing you're going to do before you go on a vacation? Magic, eh? So before you go on vacation, right? So it's right up here, vacation. Number one thing you decide when you go on it is where you're actually going. Now, does that make all the difference of what you're going to pack, when you're going to go, how you're going to get there, how much money is it going to cost? Right? It affects all those things. And so when you're looking at it, you know, when we're going on vacation and I say, I want to go to Bora Bora. Do you know where Bora Bora is? Again, little tiny islands down by Fiji somewhere, I believe. Down over here, little tiny speck. And we're over here in North America, right? Coming down here. Well, it's a long ways. Okay. So can we drive there? No. Can we sail there? Maybe. It would take a long time. Can we fly there? Yes. All right, good. So we're going to fly. How are we going to fly? Well, we find some airlines and we get there. Now, do we bring a parka? No. We probably bring bathing suits and T-shirt. That's about it. Okay? Once again, Bora Bora. Not so cheap. Definitely not staying at the Holiday Inn Express or something like that. Okay? Bora Bora, last time I looked, was $1,200 a night. Yeah, at one of those ones where they have it's like the little huts over the water that you go to. That's what I'm talking about in Bora Bora. Gorgeous place. Love to go there. On my dream chart to actually make it there. But yeah, it's like $1,200 a night. Right? So you're looking at it going, whoa, okay, now you got to save some money to actually make it there. Okay? And thank goodness that we don't have to drive there. Now, if we actually had to get ourselves to Bora Bora, we couldn't just go buy an airline ticket and they take us there. Right? We actually had to go and buy a boat, learn how to sail that boat, and sail that boat all the way to Bora Bora. That'd be a whole different level of planning and understanding, correct? But you'd still decide where you're going to go, because if you didn't want to go here, you actually wanted to go to Mexico, you wouldn't go buy a boat. You would buy a car or something else, a truck. Right? Now, why is it that this makes sense in vacations, but why when we say, all right, I want to start a business. I want to start a business. Why don't we ask ourselves the same question? Okay, where are we going? I don't know, we're just going to do the work. We should probably know where we're going. Are we going here or are we going here? Do we have to get there ourselves, or is there some way that we can actually fly there? Or what's the vehicle that are going to get us there? All these things pertain to business, right, of having that common goal. And every decision based money, timing, resources, people, who you're going to bring. Oh, I can't bring my kids, right, because it's too expensive to take to Bora Bora, but I could take my kids over here maybe. Right? All those things come into play in planning and deciding and making an effort to go after a business. So a common goal, whether or not it's the team of your business, or it's the team in a project, or it's a team working day to day, right? It all has to come down to what is the overall big common goal, and what are the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly common goals that they can buy into, right? So vision. So when we're talking about vision, the whole vision, or the whole point of it, and why we have a common goal, is to truly enroll and to inspire. So if we can actually enroll and inspire people into that vision or that common goal, then we as a leader, that's why you need strong leadership, because strong leadership needs to enroll and inspire people into that vision or that common goal. Okay? So if your family doesn't want to go to Bora Bora and you really want to, what do? And you're going to enroll and inspire them. It's amazing what we actually do when we want to do something, where we want something. They're like, oh, I really want to go there. Well, what do you have to do? Well, no one else wants to go, so I either go by myself, or I need to enroll and inspire other people to come along with me. So it's amazing how kids enroll and inspire us, right? If they want something, they try every angle to get whatever it is that they want. So what about business, right? We've got to do the same thing, okay? So why set goals? Number one, the whole purpose of goals is for direction and focus. Once we get in direction and focus, now we know where we're going. But if we don't set goals, or we don't have that common goal, then we have no direction, we have no focus. Number two, movement and momentum. If If you don't know where you're going, then you're going to end up 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 years down the line with being in the exact same spot because you get no movement. And then once you actually set goals and accomplish them, then you get some momentum. And lastly, right, the person you become. I heard this statement from one of my clients actually. He said, everybody should desire to become a millionaire. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I thought of that before, but I was like, that seems kind of arrogant too. Everybody, you don't need to be materialistic and you don't need to be $1 million and blah, 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 all the excuses that we can come up with. But then he said, and as we were discussing, we came to the conclusion that, well, wait a second, why should everybody strive to become a millionaire? And the reason why we came down is not because of the money, right? It's because who you become. And now you can become a bad millionaire, you can become a good millionaire too, right? But you have to work through some of those challenges and struggles, but then you start asking yourself a lot different questions than if you're just a grocery store clerk. You're going to start asking yourself, okay, who do I need to become? What do I need to do in order to get that of what I want to have? And the knowledge that would be given to you in that pursuit of that $1 million, that journey would be second to none. And I thought, wow, isn't that a great opportunity for people to grow and to challenge themselves and not to be comfortable in I'm just comfortable doing this. Okay, well, what else could we do? Now, like always, we talked about having SMART goals. Okay, so SMART goals are the idea or the concept, right? With the acronym SMART. Have you ever heard this before? Do you know what that acronym is, Jen? Remember it? Okay, no worries, you're good. So SMART actually stands for specific, measurable, achievable results, and with a time frame. Okay, so this is our new filter for every goal that we set. So when we set a goal, right, we say, okay, I want to be wealthy. Is that a SMART goal? No. It's a really stupid goal, actually. Because what is wealthy? Well, wealthy could be, to someone that lives in Asia, well, depending on Asia, some poor kid in the Philippines, being wealthy could be $10 a week. Whereas someone living in Monaco, being wealthy is doing about $10 million a week, right? To afford the yacht that's down in the gorgeous blue, port down at the bottom there. So when we're looking at what is wealthy, well, we need to make them specific, measurable, achievable, realistic with a time frame. And if your goals don't have that, then simply they're stupid. Right? So we need to actually break through that and move to that next level. So, common goal. So we have strong leadership. Common goal number 3, rules of the game. So once we have a strong leader, once we have the direction, the focus, the goals, and everything that's lining up on that common thing that everybody can actually bite in and enroll and inspire in, now we need to set the rules of the game. So if you think about joining a sports team, right? Did you ever play sports? Right? So once you join a sports team, you kind of get in there, you have the coach who's typically the leader, and then you have captains who's also the leaders within your group. And then you set typically a common goal of, all right, guys, we're going to try to win the national championship or the provincial championship or whatever it is that year. So you actually have a common goal. Then you have to set the rules. So now you start jockeying, okay, how do we act in this group? And a lot of times people don't express this, it just kind of starts to happen. We know that, we have to show up on time for practice. That rule is usually given, right, from your coach. You have to show up on time for practice. You actually have to come prepared. You might have to eat differently. You might have to exercise differently, right? These are all the rules to play on his team. These are his rules of the game from the strong leader. So in your organization, in your business, you need to set those rules up as well. Say, if you're a part of my team, this is what I expect of you. This and this and this and this and this and this. Do you want to join my team or not? Because if you don't, great, because I don't want you anyways. because these are my rules. And if you want to follow my rules, then wonderful, you can actually be a part of it. So what does that actually mean? So we get into the standards and norms. And typically, these are the standards and norms of what the team and how the team runs. And these are just kind of where it is. But as you work on team, your standards and norms will either increase or decrease. And as we increase all the standards and norms going up, what happens is people won't want to come with you. And so you actually start cutting off the dead branches of the growing tree. Right? Because as you raise up, people just will not want to raise up with you. And we actually see that quite a bit in our friends. If we start getting different higher caliber friends moving up and up and up and up, then we're going to lose a lot of other friends. Okay? Just because they won't want to come with us. Now, to create a culture, we call this a loose, tight culture. Now, this is actually a football field or a pitch or whatever you want, a rugby pitch, I think is what it's created. But basketball, what sport did you play? Volleyball. It's a good sport. Talk all about volleyball forever. Don't get me started. So volleyball, basketball, anything of sports, they all have lines, right? They all have rules. You're allowed to do all this stuff. You're allowed to do pretty much whatever you want. So in volleyball, you can do whatever you want, but you can't carry as long as you follow the rules. You can't carry it, right? You got to hit it a number of times, and the more you hit it, the more control you have, but you can't hit it 4 times, right? And you have to stay within bounds, right? So during the play, you have to stay within bounds, or the ball has to be within bounds, but you're allowed to cross those bounds. And in every sport, it's a little bit different. In soccer, if the ball goes outside the thing, it's out. Basketball, if you step on the line, you're out. Right? We have all these rules. Now this is a tight set of rules that you cannot break this. Right? So tight rules, culture, context of what it actually is. So this is what you need to lay out with your employees to have a strong team is this is exactly how we play in our game and in our team here. Right? And you just lay out what's out of bounds. What are some of the fouls? What are some of the carries? What are some of the issues? Okay? You lay that all out. Now the other aspect, so that's the tight part of the thing. Now we still have to have loose. So loose people or content, right? The content that goes into there, you're allowed to pretty much do whatever you want. So in volleyball, you're allowed to run a 50, you're allowed to run outside, you're allowed to run X's, you're allowed to run tandems, you're allowed to run anything that you want to, as long as you stay within the tight cultural context. But the content doesn't really matter. Right? You can hit it with one hand, you can hit it with 2 hands. Right? Whatever you want, you can do. Basketball, same thing. They have the rules, but you're allowed to dribble down the court, you're allowed to dunk it, shoot it, do whatever you want within the bounds or the rules that are given. So this is where organizations need to understand the difference between content of what's going on inside versus the context of the entire corporation or the organization. And that's where you get into that loose, tight context and content culture of your business. Make sense? Okay. So creating this for your team and for your business is a very vital kind of key of how we're moving forward. So that's kind of the rules of the game. Now you need to create your own rules. We can talk about all the rules, but we talked about some of those ones of being on time, right? And even to have checklists, right? Do this and this and this and this before you get to the job. When you're done the job, clean up this, have this type of, clean out the nozzles, do this. Understand the whole process so that they know and they check it off because then that's the context, the tight culture that they have to do. But you don't have to watch them. Once you teach them how to spray, they can do it however they want, right? As long as they follow the rules. Measure every once in a while, doing all that type of stuff. Okay? Number 4, once we have a strong leader, we have a common goal where we're going. Now we know the rules on how to play on our team. Now we need to create an action plan of saying, okay, team, we want to win the national championship. These are the rules that we're going to play by and practice by. Now we need an action plan of how to get us there so that we actually win. And it's simply that. It's really much an action plan. So your action plan is who does what by when. So if you have a team, you need to get into it and say, all right, we need to get all this stuff done. Well, who does what by when? That's all you have to ask yourself. So there's the person, what they're doing, and when. Is that not smart? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic with a time frame. Who does what by when? And that is your action plan. And you lay out that plan, whether or not it's a big goal or it's checklist or it's a system or it's processes, and allow those processes to manage. I actually want to write a book talking about micromanaging, right? I really like micromanaging. It's kind of funny because micromanaging is a bad thing, right? Everybody thinks, oh, you can't micromanage. Well, I believe you can because we need more micromanaging. The whole concept was everybody got so scared of micromanaging that they went completely the opposite and don't manage at all. They're just going to lead. Right? So they go way off, they don't micromanage anymore, they don't do anything anymore, they just lead, but they don't actually manage their people. The other thing is the people that still micromanage in the inappropriate way. When I mean micromanaging, a lot of times people think, I'm over your shoulder and doing your work and just being in your business. That's not what I say by micromanaging. How we micromanage? Well, we manage them through our systems and our numbers. Right? We have our systems and our numbers manage our people. Right? So if you lay out all the processes and procedures and the KPIs and the knowledge that, runs the people, and then you have the system and the numbers run it, then you can micromanage them like no tomorrow because the system just pumps you information saying, yep, they're doing good, they're not doing good, okay, now I need to go and manage them in a more appropriate way. Doesn't mean over their shoulders, but all those reports and all the systems and the results that are coming back to you as a dashboard, that's how we micromanage our organization. It's very similar to a car. We have all the computers in a car to micromanage everything. We don't understand the pressure of the PSI or the pressure of each chamber of every cylinder, right? But the computer monitors that and how much injection is going on and all that stuff of happening and the oil pressure and the temperature. All we see is what the computer wants us to see. How fast we're going, how much gas we have, and any warning lights. And it says, hey, you have an issue here, you need to take it into someone to repair it. Well, that's what we need to create for our business. Have the systems and the computers manage that aspect of the business, so all you have to do is the critical thinking stuff. Okay? Fifth, once you have a plan, now you need to support risk-taking. So why is this in a part? Why is this even in here? A lot of times people think, oh, I don't want to be risky. Well, being super conservative never gets anybody anywhere fast, correct? You go pretty slow. The more risky you are, the faster it is. Too risky, however, you've gone beyond the mark. So we need to have that balance of risk-taking is the first part of this equation. The second part of supporting risk-taking is the idea of an employee that comes to you with an idea. And he comes with an idea and says, hey, what about this? And you just go, that's the stupidest idea ever. You don't support them in taking that ownership, responsibility, or risk. And so do they ever come back and ever come back to you with another idea? No, right? They're done. Absolutely done, complete, no longer come back, and now you get body, no more mind, no more heart, no more spirit. Right? And that's the idea of support risk-taking, is not necessarily you'll do what they ask or do what they want to do, but that you're going to support them and listen to them and see if it actually would work or fit within the organization. Okay? The other aspect of support risk-taking is the idea of what we call perturbation. So what the heck is perturbation? It sounds like a funny word. Well, perturbation actually comes from the root word perturbed, right, or irritated. You know, and we have things that pressure us, right? Push, 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 push. And we all have felt that before, that all that pressure on top of us, right? And we pressure, pressure, pressure. And if we can break through there, we actually come out and are usually better for breaking through, because now we're kind of breaking into multiple good things rather than just our comfort zone before. Now we can go through a whole bunch of different scenarios. You see it a lot with people that go through some major tragedy in life, and then once they go through the tragedy, anything can come their way and this never hurt, right? Oh, I can deal with that, I can deal with that, no worries. I've been there, done that, right? That's what happens. But realizing that there is pressure, and there's always going to be pressure, and be okay with pressure, because pressure pushes us to learn, grow, and become something better. This whole idea of taking coal, pressurizing it, what does it become? Do you know? A diamond, right? High pressure creates diamonds, right? Through that carbon process. So this is you, and as a pressure, there's always emotion leaking out of that. But we need to make sure that we break through this, and we call that perturbation. So as a breakthrough, breakthroughs follow breakdowns, break aparts, break widths, all these breaking, right? You got to push through, but any breakthroughs, that's the point of the word breakthrough. You have to push through something to have a breakthrough. And typically to have a breakthrough, you have to have a whole lot of, breaking down, or things breaking apart, and things not going the way that you want them to go. Then it forces us to break through into a different mindset and into a different category. Now, Japanese guys, they're pretty smart. Coming up with Kaizen. Now, Kaizen means constant and never-ending improvement. Kaizen costing, there's Kaizen. The idea of Kaizen comes from Toyota's. Tacoma, right? It was from a guy by the name of, it wasn't Peter Drucker. There's another management guy. Edward Deming, that's his name. Edward Deming actually was from the U.S., United States, and he went to all the car manufacturers, Ford and all those people down in the States, GM, and said, hey, you guys need to look at constant, never-ending improvement, and looking at your whole idea of creating and benefiting and bettering your vehicles. And they said, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Our products are good. If they break down, but we're all right. We're making lots of money as it is. So then Edward Deming went to Japan. And all the car manufacturers really took in Mr. Deming and actually started listening to what he had to say. And they went, wow, yeah, okay. So if we constantly and never-ending improve our products, they came up with the whole idea of reverse engineering and engineering things to fail. So they'd take a part and they'd build it, and then they'd push it to the max and see when it would fail. And they'd do that with all their parts, and so they'd make them stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So then they have better and better and better and better quality. And what was interesting is, all of a sudden, the Japanese cars started taking over, and Toyota, they keep on bouncing back and forth, but Toyota was the largest automotive company in the world, right, over the past number of years. They bumped GM out of there, and now they're the global kind of leaders, right? And it's through that constant, never-ending improvement came this quality that we all hear, but that comes from the idea of Kaizen, okay? So we need to support risk-taking, because that's the whole idea of constant and never-ending improvement. We need to always push, develop, move to get better and better and better, okay? It's that whole idea of grow, plateau, grow, plateau, grow, plateau. A lot of times people say, if it ain't broke, don't break it, right? Just keep with it. However, understanding Kaizen, the different concept that I came up with is, if it ain't broke, break it, right? Because you're probably in a plateau if it ain't broke. So you should always be tweaking things, because if you're not growing, you're dying. Plants can't just stay the same. They're either growing or they're dying. So are we, and so are our businesses. So we need to push forward on that. That's number 5, support risk-taking. Finally, number 6, the last one, the key, of course, in every team you need to have 100% involvement and inclusion. 100% involvement and inclusion. So when we're looking at this, to have a team, if you don't have involvement, right, you're kind of stuck, then you don't really have a team. And this is the difference that I tend to see, and I'm glad you're a volleyball player, Because in volleyball, you're forced to have 100% involvement and inclusion, correct? In basketball, you're not. To win at a high level, you are, right? But pickup ball, you can still have one guy or two guys that just hog the ball and do everything. Volleyball, impossible, right? Because you're always spread around. And you have to work as a team, and you're forced to work as a team. So that 100% involvement and inclusion is very, very important when we're working with our teams to get them involved, get them included, and get them participating in meetings and ideas and just working as a team. You never want someone on the outskirts. Okay? Make sense? So, as a part of it, once everything starts working together and you can actually get an idea of your business and you can work on these 6 keys, well, you get what we call synergy. And we've all heard the word synergy before. And synergy is the idea, 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2, but it actually equals 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because now we have synergy. Everything is working smoothly. And when things are working smoothly and a team is working together, they accomplish so much more. And you can see this all the time in athletes. I pick on them all the time. Because when a team is gelling, they can beat anybody. But if you have like a couple of the key stars, if they're not gelling as a team, they're not worth anything. An talented team that runs as a team can always beat a high caliber team that plays as individuals. Always. It's the same thing in your business. If you can get your team to run like that, then it makes a lot more sense and a lot more effort in pushing forward. Okay? And we're always stuck on this kind of sport kind of theme today, which I'll keep on with. So with sports, the big thing that athletes do, teams do, and good corporate teams do is they lock things in, right, with what we call rituals. And yes, I did spell that wrong for a purpose, right? Because rituals are around becoming rich, right? So rituals are the key of locking it all in. So when we have rituals, if you think about anybody in sports, they have, right before they go up to shoot a foul shot, they go through their 3 spins, hit, boom, up, go. Pitchers, same thing. Batters, same thing. Tennis players, same thing. Everybody goes. Swimmers, same thing. I was listening to a book talking about Michael Phelps. And he had a specific routine that he would go through his whole thing in his head, win the race, exactly how it was supposed to be, and he puts on his music like he always does, and he goes out, and he sits down, takes it off, does the same kind of wingspan, kind of stretches, gets up there, comes up on the thing, steps back down off the thing, does a couple more, gets up on the blocks, locks in, and goes. And he's been doing that since he's been like 12 years old or younger. That was his ritual. That puts him in the zone to go. Right? Same thing with teams. Teams come together, and we need to create rituals. Whether or not it's a team huddle in the morning, it's pizza every month, it's whatever the rituals are, we get to create them. That's the fun part. Right? The difference is if you don't create them as the leader, guess who does? The team. Because everybody needs some form of rituals. They need a culture. They need rules. So they create their own if you don't create it for them. So you need to create it for them so then you can actually have control over it. Okay? The best thing that actually comes out of rituals, and this is kind of the last line here, is the team may change, but the rituals don't. The team may change, but the rituals don't. And I learned a story. They brought in a bunch of monkeys, and they did this test. They're all in a cage, and there was a big tree in the middle, and they put these bananas on the top of the tree. And these bananas are up on the top of the tree, and every time these monkeys would go for the bananas, they would get shot by a big blast of water. Big hose, it would spray them down, and so they couldn't get to the bananas. And so this happened for about a week. And every time the monkey would go, they'd get sprayed, until the monkeys never went up there ever again, because they knew if they go for the bananas, they get sprayed. Then they started taking out some of the older monkeys, or some of the monkeys that were in there, and start putting new monkeys in. So what would happen is when the new monkeys would come in, they were like, oh, bananas, and they would run up, and before they get sprayed, all the other monkeys would grab these monkeys and pull them down. No, 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 don't go up there. And they couldn't communicate. They would just grab them down and say, don't go up there. And what happened is they kept on removing old monkeys out and putting new monkeys in. Old, new, old, new, old, new, until all of the old monkeys that actually got sprayed with water were completely gone, and all a new set of monkeys were in there. Guess what happened? They did the same thing. Not one of them ever went up there to get the bananas, because that culture, that ritual, stayed with them. Now, it was a bad ritual, so bad rituals and good rituals actually affect teams, right? But they stay. Even though team might go, rituals still stay. Make sense? So we need to look into your business and say, okay, what rituals can we create? What do we need to do, right, to put that into practice? Now, true communication, right, in team, because I ask this question a lot. I ask the question, what do you think the number one dysfunction of any team is? And without fail, everybody comes back and says, lack of communication. Now, there's a great book out there called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and the actual number one dysfunction of a team is lack of trust. Right? Communication is a result or an outcome of something, right? And if you don't trust each other, then you won't communicate with each other. Right? Communication is just an outward expression of what's inside wrong, or what's wrong inside. So true communication, though, is the actual response that we get. So if we're communicating, if we think we're communicating, and we're not getting the right response, then what's going on? We're probably not communicating very well. Because remember, true communication is the response that we actually get. What I want you to do is, rather than having everybody, I want you to take some time and go over every step now. So write out the 6 steps again, and I want you, or go back over your notes. I want you to come up with what are 1, 2, or 3 things that you can do, or you need to improve on, or maybe some strategies, or something that kind of came to your mind, or that you can come up with. I want you to go through each one of those 6 steps and say, okay, what can I do to improve each one of those 6 keys? Those on the video as well, if you can actually make sure that you go through all these 6 things and come up with your key things that you need to do for each one of those 6 steps. Take some time right now and actually write them down and figure out what you need to do or change in your business based off each one of those 6 keys. What this is your ideal employee. This is your ideal employee. You need to describe them and define them of what your ideal employee is. And once you can actually define them and describe what your ideal employee is, and you can use some of the guys that you already have as your template, but if you can describe who your ideal person is, right, then what happens when you go out there and look for them? This is what you're going to try to find. But if you don't have this, what are you going out there looking for? Whatever. Right? Describe them first so you know what they look like, and then when they actually come through your door, you're like, boom, that's the exact guy that I've been looking for. Or you'll be walking around the grocery store and you'll run into these guys. Or something will happen and you'll be attracted to the key people that you need. So for homework, what I'd like you to work on specifically is, number 1, define this. Define your ideal employee. Okay? So define ideal employee. Number 2 level of for homework is go through, the 6 keys. Go through the 6 keys and and look at them again, understand them a little bit more, and come up with some strategies or action items that you're going to do on each one of those 6 keys and putting them into the plan. Right? Because I mean, strong team comes from doing something about it. You don't ever get a strong team without working on it. It's as simple. But your team is your absolute vital key of your business.
I agree.
Right? You can do that part. Okay? So number 1, define your ideal employee. Number 2, go through all the 6 keys, come with that one. And number 3 is look over the WIFL and see if you can implement a WIFL. Look over the WIFL document and implement a WIFL for you and your team.